All right, Frankenstein, 2025. It is a new adaptation of a story that you should probably know right now. It's been out for over 200 years. That being said, I will try to avoid spoilers and stuff for the most part. I'll briefly cover little things, but overall, I don't want to spoil the film or even the book for that matter. You should go read them. I'm sure you can find the book for free. It's been out for, over, like I said, over 200 years. You can find a free copy, probably even a free audiobook. So check that out first and foremost. But the film, I think it comes out on maybe the 7th on Netflix. I was lucky enough to see it at an early screening, and I was even more lucky to be surprised by the director, Guillermo Del Toro, the cast, the crew. There were Netflix executives there. None of this was advertised to us. We were just going to an early screening, and then we show up, and all these people walk in at the last minute with no sort of preamble. So that made it a really memorable experience. If anything, it kind of uh, maybe sort of softly made me want to root for it even more than I already would. Frankenstein is right up my alley. I would have enjoyed this regardless, but I think Guillermo Del Toro gave a really short but inspiring and cool speech right before the movie, so that kind of made it special. Made it a really unique experience. So to get to the movie, the very, very short plot summary for those few that don't know it is basically there's a guy driven by grief and loss and pride and ambition and other things who tries to sort of conquer death through science. It's sort of made up movie voodoo science that was actually popular um, in the um, in the 19th century. I want to say they set this film as a minor, and one of the deviations in this film is I think they have a little crawl at the beginning where they maybe set it. Um, I think in like the 1840s, even the book was written in I think the original was published in like 1818. So minor nitpicks. As far as deviations, basically this I don't want to get too specific, but there are some deviations. A lot of it's similar, and I think the reasons for the deviations in terms of the plot and the characters and some of their relationships between each other, um, it comes down to pacing. In the middle of the book, I don't know if this is a flaw with the book, but it maybe slightly one of my only nitpicks because I think the book is genius. Is that basically you fall into this thing where Frankenstein's monster does X, Y, and Z, and the characters react, and then he kind of does the same thing again. They react, and there's this. So the middle is a bit kind of repetitive in a way, even though it's very well written. And I do think that the film, for the most part, and I think this is the most important thing, at least for me, was that it really captures the spirit of what works about the book, even if it's not quite on the level of the book, right? Not to be that guy. The book's better, right? Of course it is. It always is. But in this case, I just think I had this thought in my head when I was leaving the movie, even though I really enjoyed it, and I think it's great, that there's a difference between something that is great, like the movie, and something that's genius, like the book. Even with the book's flaws, I think it's genius, right? It's not just great. It's even better. There's a reason it's still making, in the top 5 and top 10, books of all time list or science fiction books of all time lists and things like that to this day. Not to mention it was, Del Toro's been amazing for decades now. He's been around for years. He's been making amazing movies for, like I said, decades now. And Mary Shelley wrote the first edition of the book. I think it later revised it in her 30s, but she wrote it at 18 years old, which is one of those things that's just mind-boggling to this day. Um, but again, not to just go off on a total tangent about the book. The movie's great. So to break down a few of the things, the score is I don't want to put it in the upper echelons of what I think are the greatest movie scores, but I think it really fits. It works. It's really good. It's I guess my only nitpick would have been maybe make it even more creepy and disturbing and whatever. It does nail that sound, but I think it could have just gone a little further in that really dark direction, even though I think it's the right sound for the movie. And I do think it's really good. As far as the visuals, it's the Del Toro film, so he really, really cares about, of course, cinematography, but production design is the thing that his movies. He's clearly very big on that, right? So the hair and makeup and the costumes and oh man, the just everything, even kind of the lighting is more sort of like that gothic stylized look you'd expect, but so much of it, the sets, the way the sets are designed and decorated, everything is just fantastic. I mean, it's one of the highlights of the film. So overall, like a lot of Del Toro movies, visually, it's a feast. It's great. Um, the acting performances, so the direction, I won't go too deep into it because that's sort of a couple of my nitpicks are, even though I think without Del Toro, it wouldn't have been the movie it is, right? So obviously he elevates this a ton, but there are a couple of nitpicks that I kind of have to blame on the direction. I don't want to get too specific. I'll just tell you to watch the movie and see what you think. But a couple of the performances, like some of the directions that the characters were taken, and I can't really blame the actors. I think it was a directorial thing, but I mean, what do I know? But overall, the performances were all great. You have an all-star cast: Christoph Waltz and Mia Goth and Oscar Isaac, and I think the only couple nitpicks I have were that I wish, this is partly because they deviated from the book, but I wish Mia Goth's character had a little more to do. Even I think they should have just worked her in a bit more. I mean, she was in it a lot, but she's really good in this, and I think even more of her would have been better. Ultimately, the standout performance, though, is Jacob Elordi's performance. It is the single thing that made the movie for not just myself, but everybody I went to see this with. There were several of us, and we all walked out and said his performance made that movie. Yes, it looks great and sounds great, and it's well shot and lit and directed and everything, but that one performance, it made the movie, and it was the best performance I've seen pretty much. I haven't seen all the movies that came out this year, right? I wasn't keeping up with every last thing that came out, but I think it debatably was the best performance I saw all year. And I know it's not just him, right? It's the hair and makeup team and the direction and the production design and art direction, 100 people, stunt performers, etc. But I think his performance was really, really special. And I think the way they brought the monster to life on screen was just amazing. I think it was fantastic. And I think Frankenstein's monster has been so campy and kind of funny in a lot of adaptations. And in this, it was much more true to the book. I do think they, without being too spoilery, deviated in a way where the character is written. He does some bad things in this, right? Without spoilers, but in the book he does much worse things, and I think that makes it a bit more complex and a bit more interesting, even if some of his actions in the book are a bit repetitive at times. So I don't know. Ultimately, that if you take anything away, it's like watch this for that performance, right? Just for the monster, he's so great in this, and not just his dialogue, the performance, the way he looks, the makeup, and everything. That's really what made the movie for this. Not just the actual presentation and performance, but just like the way it was written, the spirit of it, him sort of the philosophical side to his character, and the exploration of like what it means to be human and alive and all these other things, and the relationship with the parent and rejection and God and all these things. Not on the level of the book, but really well done, especially for a movie. You only have so much time. You have 2.5 hours. It's a long movie, but it was great. So yeah, if you don't remember anything else, just remember, go see this movie for that one reason. Ideally see it on a big screen, because that really made the experience. It was just such a fun time to see it on the big screen, even though, again, it's still a good movie, I'm sure, if you see it at home with your friends and family, right, on the couch. But if you can, definitely see it on the big screen.